The following program may contain coarse language, violence, nudity, mature subject matter, or scenes which may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
It is, September the 8th, 2023. My name is Rob McConnell, and welcome back to the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And we come to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network, the Mutual Broadcast Network, and our family of affiliates right around the world and on Channel 32 on Simul TV. Just a few little things to go through before we get to my very special guest this hour, my good friend Corey KNOETTGEN, who used to be my producer going back to the time of Talkstar Radio. And, I spent more time with Corey at night than I did my wife, and they were the good old days. I'm going to get in trouble for that one, right, Craig? Yeah. Anyway, don't forget the 2023 Halifax Paranormal Symposium, October the 7th in Halifax, Nova Scotia. That is being put on by our good friend Elliot Van Dusen. For more information, tickets, sales, and if you'd like to become a vendor, or if you'd just like to keep up on the news, or contact Elliot about a paranormal event that's going on in the east coast of Canada, his website is www.ppri.net. And Bart Sabrell's new book, Moon Man, is available on Amazon. And you can also visit his website at Sabrell.com. There's no Bart. It's just Sabrell.com. Many, many years ago, we were with Talkstar Radio Network, and I had the pleasure of working with a number of producers. But the longest running producer who was able to keep up with us here in the X Zone is my guest this hour, who has changed gears and is now a security expert when it comes to cyber. Corey KNOETTGEN is my guest. And Corey, welcome back to the X Zone, you son of a gun.
Nice to be here, Rob.
Hey, buddy, you and I go back a long time. How many years ago was that, Corey?
Oh, it was like 17, 18 years ago now.
Oh, my good Lord. I was young back then.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, every time we hear, what was the name of that song, Yellow?
Yeah, Yellow.
No. What was it called? You know, the one that says, oh, yeah.
Kool-Aid Man.
Yeah. Good times. Corey, thanks very much for coming with us. Congratulations on everything you've done since leaving radio. So tell me, do you miss radio?
I miss it a little bit, but what I do now is a lot of fun.
What do you do now, Corey?
So I'm a security engineer for a small to medium-sized company, and I have to tell you, we're outnumbered nowadays. The number of attacks has just grown exponentially, and we always have to be on our guard.
It's just like this industry, you've got to try and keep ahead of the competition, because ever since COVID, Corey, anybody with a microphone or a computer that has a microphone and a camera, they do their own shows. And I'll tell you something, there's more crap out there than ever before, my friend.
Oh boy, but I bet this is the only place where we can hear about the Moon Men.
That's right. That's right. As well as the other great topics that we've talked about over the many years. Just before we get on to the security aspect, Corey, what was your most memorable show that you and I did together?
Oh boy, I always like having Dr. Cass Ingram on. He was pretty funny. And we had someone, I think his name was Wayne something, and he did the radio show from a state hospital, or he had just been released from one. So
Wayne Morin Jr.
Yes, that was the one.
Yeah. I don't know if you know what happened there, Corey. Actually, the Department of Justice asked us to send them copies of the tape of his shows, and the other patients that were there that came on the air with us. and criminal charges were brought up against the Napa State Hospital.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, that's one for us, Corey, and you were part of that. So thanks very much for being there. Computer theft, fraud, impersonation, hacking. My God, everybody has horror stories to tell these times, Corey. I'm one of the ones I'm personally familiar with is, well, Laura, she loves shopping. Now, Amazon, right? And then all these other online stores that give you these fantastic deals. But in order to get the deal, you have to send them your credit card information or your debit card information. And they've become masters at mimicking legitimate sites. So what happened was Laura went on to one of these sites. It was Temu. And all of a sudden, our bank is getting hit with bogus charges left, right, and center. So we went to the bank, and the bank was very good about it. They reversed the charges. And I said to Laura, no more, don't use your card. I'd rather take you shopping than to have some, you give the information out over the internet. And I was amazed to find out when speaking to the bank officials and their security department how common this is. And Corey, as a security expert in cybersecurity, this must be a big challenge for you and the other people who work with you.
It is. I was even in the payment card industry for a short time, and every single day we got call after call about fraudulent charges. It's just rampant. And that Temu app, when somebody first reported that they had dozens or hundreds of bogus charges, it almost sounded unbelievable, but more and more people have come forward on forums like Reddit, and it's happening. It's happening.
Corey, how can they get away with it? Like, is it because they keep changing their IP address so frequently, or are they in countries where there is no legality to what they're doing, or are they in countries where, you pay off the officials and they turn a blind eye because they're making money on the crime that you're committing?
Yeah, I think it's all of the above. And Temu is based out of China, and there needs to be a certain amount of international cooperation to really go after a company like that. And I think in the US, we almost don't have any ammunition because there's even bigger issues like the status of Tibet. And when we bring that up in diplomatic talks with China, China isn't listening. And I think the same can be said with this Temu thing. They're a big company, and even if we were to bring it up, China wouldn't be listening to us. So it's really scary.
I understand that one of the main businesses that Temu is in is collecting email addresses and data and selling it to other organizations.
Yeah, that there are more reports coming out about that. And when you see Temu ads on a site like Facebook, they already know your preferences. Companies like Facebook are already sharing data. And speaking of data sharing, it's not just Temu. If you go to Facebook and buried deep in your settings, you can download some of the information that they have collected from you. And I calculated that if you spent 40 hours a week, every single week, to try to get off of every marketing list you're a part of, you'd spend your whole life trying to do it, and you wouldn't be able to get off all those lists. And this data is being shared with the good guys and bad guys, I think.
Unreal. I know for a fact, Corey, that one of the main purchasing arms of Temu lists is in Panama. And there is this one building that we've been able to backtrack, and we don't have the resources that you would have in cybersecurity. but we were able to link this one address, exact street address, with over 182 different websites, and they're
Wow.
mimicked.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
there was even a short period of time where Panama was partially banned because of just occurrences like you just described, and
Mhm.
the whole framework of the internet is built around something called DNS, and there was a rogue DNS company in Panama. It might have been that very same address, and um, they were rerouting information through their own servers, stealing people's information, and
Wow.
even committing fraudulent transactions. So,
Corey, we've got to get ready for our first break, but I have to ask you, and maybe this will give you some time to think about this answer. How do you see AI in inflicting harm when it comes to cybersecurity? Just give us some thought, pal. We'll be back on the other side. Exo Nation, Corey KNOETTGEN is my very special guest, a good friend. I've had the pleasure of knowing Corey for 18, 19 years, and he was my producer when the X-Zone was at Talkstar. Corey, stand by. Always great seeing you, buddy. And we'll be back on the other side of the short breaks. Whatever you do, don't go away. Welcome back, everyone. Before we get back to Corey, I'd just like to congratulate some good friends of mine, CFAJ 1220, or Classic 1220 as it's now called, is going live on air this coming Monday, September the 11th, I believe it is. And I must congratulate everyone at CFAJ, bringing another radio station to St. Catharines. CFAJ back more than the number of years I've known Corey, going back to 1990, was 1220 CHSC. And that was the very first radio station where the X-Zone aired from, going back way back then. Special hello to my friend Chuck LaFleur, who's going to be doing one of the, I believe he's afternoons. Pete Dichter, who is also a good friend of mine, who's going to be doing a show. And to the chief engineer over there, a very good friend, the one and only broadcast guru, Joe Gurney himself. So guys at Classic 1220 CFAJ, congratulations, good luck, and I'll be listening to you guys as well. Corey KNOETTGEN is my special guest. And Corey, artificial intelligence, how is that going to affect your job? I can see headaches, more headaches for you, my friend, and other cybersecurity security experts.
yeah, it affects us already because tools like Chat GPT, they are finding they can eventually be trained to find weaknesses in the software. So there's that kind of threat. And we're even affected by this issue where we're afraid to use AI ourselves to promote security, because you would think that with this AI, we could automatically block attacks just by feeding it certain information. But there's too much of a risk right now that letting the AI loose would actually block people out of the resources that they really need to use. So we're almost hesitant to use that to good use right now. But the AI believes whatever you feed it. And even though we know 1 + 1 = 2, if you tell it enough times that 1 + 1 = 3, it's going to believe it. And enough bad actors are pounding bad information into it so that they could use it for nefarious purposes.
So, am I to understand, Corey, that what one person feeds into AI is going to be accessible by other people as well?
Yeah, and that raises an issue itself. But just to see how interconnected we are now, if you have your cell phone in your vicinity and you just yell out Burger King, Burger King, Burger King 3 times, within a half an hour, if you look on your Facebook page, you may see an ad displayed for Burger King. So they're listening on the phone.
Wow.
Yeah, it's scary. And even if you download your data from Facebook,
Mhm.
it doesn't explain that linkage between your phone or a search engine and what Facebook does. So they're only giving us back partial information.
What about privacy? Shouldn't the consumer be totally aware of what's going on behind the scenes?
Absolutely. I think in the US, we're going to see more laws like the GDPR in Europe. More and more people are going to be demanding it, and it's just going to take the political will of the legislature to give us those same protections. But yeah, there's a big move to regulate big tech right now.
What's your take on what's happening between Facebook, Meta, and the Canadian media?
Yeah, so that's really scary. They decided that they're going to block all of this media from Canada. To be honest, I don't even know why they're doing it. It makes no sense.
Especially when all somebody has to do is Google in the address of the news carrier they want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely. No.
How does AI work, Corey?
So you have it's all based on models. You have a huge amount of data, or a pretty large amount of data that you want to sort through and make sense out of, and you start to develop models, and you actually train these artificial intelligence agents, whether they're regular robots or chat robots. You actually train them on certain information, and you try to get them to elicit human-like responses. And AI is all the rage right now. It's the next big thing.
Do you think AI will, in the future, replace search engines?
It's already becoming ingrained, like with the Bing search engine.
Yeah, I saw it, yeah.
Type something in, it's going to give you the Chat GPT answer right out of the bat. So
wow.
It's already starting to take over search engines.
One of the biggest problems that we've all seen over the last 4 years is fake news. How is the AI going to affect the spread and the propagation of fake news, in your opinion, Corey?
Yeah, it's going to accelerate it, because you can train an AI agent to come up with a pretty good fake story, and it can spread it faster than a human can. And on Amazon, we're starting to see a lot of fake books out there. There are books that are completely written by AI, and most of it is low quality material, and they're ripping off the consumer left and right.
Really?
Yeah.
So how does a consumer protect themselves from being ripped off by AI sites as well as AI merchandise, I guess?
So in a sense, I think education is the key. You have to be a critical user, and you have to treat any information presented with skepticism. So I think education and awareness on our part is a key. There's certain recommendations that it seems like we hear over and over again, and we almost get bored with it. But not giving out your password is a big one. The number of the sheer, I guess, the majority of hacks that you see out there, they're not highly technical hacks. They're tricking somebody into giving out their password, and that's how they're gaining access to systems. It's not these technical hacks that are responsible for a majority of it. So we just need to be educated as consumers.
Would AI have the capability of going into somebody's computer and actually finding the information that hackers would want and relaying it back to them?
I haven't heard of any specific examples of that,
That's
but
good.
I wouldn't be surprised.
In your opinion, Corey, what is the number one security concern or threat that you see right now?
it's still good old phishing when an attacker tries to get information out of you, and they've grown more sophisticated. Like we all know or have come to recognize that the emails from Nigerian rulers saying we won the lottery
Yeah.
are real, but they're becoming better at crafting emails that sound believable to us and are trying to get us to divulge information. So phishing is still kind of the number one threat right now.
And once again, I would imagine that it depends on where the hackers are operating from, whether or not there's any legal repercussion that they're subject to.
Yeah, because we can't even touch North Korea, and they have state-sponsored hackers that are always trying to gain a foothold into U.S. companies. They are government sites have been especially hard hit, and they've been found to be very susceptible, which is kind of surprising in one way because in the earlier days of the internet, government websites, they were almost behind the curve in sophistication, but over time they've gotten better at setting security protocols. So each government agency has a vast array of security protocols that they follow and try to follow, but they're still getting hacked. There's still loopholes in the system, I guess.
Yeah. With all the new cars that are coming out, heavy on computer coding for the operation of the vehicle as well as the electronics and so on. What would happen, Corey, in your opinion, if there was a solar flare that knocked out the Wi-Fi, the GPS, and other systems that the automobiles of today depend on?
Yeah, it's to the extent that the vehicle's network connected, then you have a real risk there. And I used to be a skeptic about these solar flares, but there was one recently that had visible effects that was reported on in the news. So I think the risk from solar flares is real now.
I think I was working with you, Corey, when we had that big one up here in Ontario that knocked out the power grid for nearly a week. And because we were hardwired with ISDN to White Springs, where the studio was, the phone lines were working, but none of the electronics were working. We could use the dial telephone to communicate with you guys, and that was about it. Here you've got, once again, since you and I last talked, every kid has a cell phone. The electronic aspect of the world has jumped in leaps and bounds, and I just wonder what effect the power outage or a failure of the system due to a solar flare would have on kids these days. Like, what would they do without their electronics?
Yeah, we live in the over-connected society, and if we're smart about things, I wouldn't be surprised over the next few years if we start to take more things off the grid to an extent, like critical infrastructure, like power and water.
Yeah.
We might actually take it off the network to an extent, and we will still have some degree of computerization there, but break that network connect so we're not so vulnerable.
Hey, Corey, you and I have to take our break at the bottom, so please stand by. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that you're a very busy man, and I appreciate not only your friendship, but your expertise, so stand by. Exonation, Corey and I will be back on the other side of this break, but don't forget that the 2023 Halifax Paranormal Symposium in Halifax, Nova Scotia, October 7 from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. That's Atlantic time. Plenty of vendors, great talkers, experts, and much more. For more information or to buy your ticket or to become a sponsor, visit. You got your pencil and paper ready? Just in case your cell phone dies. There you go, Corey. There you go. www.ppri.net. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. Corey and I will be back after this short break, so don't go away. And welcome back, everyone. Corey Connaught is my special guest. And Corey, over the years, you've done shows with me where we've talked about Roswell and other classifications of UFOs and how the government is suppressing the information. And it's always boggled my imagination. If somebody wanted to discredit the government of the United States, all they would need to do is hack into a government computer, find the information, and expose it. How hard would that be if, in fact, the information was there?
To the extent that this Area 51 or wherever it is network connected, it seems like we would have found out by now. That the evidence just doesn't ever seem to be there. It's always anecdotal.
It's true. What's your take on UFOs anyway, Corey?
Yeah, I think that we're finding surprising things out there in space still, like planets made entirely of diamonds, things of that nature. So there are a lot of discoveries out there, but finding that intelligence that could be responsible for creating a UFO and finding the UFOs themselves, we haven't found it yet, and they might just exist on another timeline. That's
yeah, it's amazing. I've been doing this show now for 34 years this year, and basically nothing's ever changed. And I want to believe, Corey. I would love to say I believe 100%, but remember that old Wendy's commercial? Where's the beef? Where's the proof?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, buddy.
But you reminded me of something. It seems like for several years, decades even, the weirdness was kind of confined to certain parameters. Like there were the ufologists, there were people like the JFK conspiracy theorists. There were certain groups that were kind of stable over time, that would promote these conspiracy theories. Now it's almost like everybody has a conspiracy and they completely disregard scientific fact now, and it scares me.
Well, don't you know why everybody's got a conspiracy and they ignore scientific fact?
Why?
It's because scientists are part of the conspiracy, Corey.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's crazy. And even to the latest congressional hearing, when you had these three whistleblowers, the main whistleblower, David Grush, anything that he wanted to expose prior to the congressional hearing was only given to those in a SCIF or a secure setting, which made no sense to me. Like, why did you come to this hearing? Why was the hearing called if, in fact, you're not going to tell America and the world what evidence you have? And all his evidence was hearsay.
Yeah. And it doesn't help the Edward Snowden revelations that they're listening to everything. Like that doesn't help the situation, because they really are listening to us.
Mind you, my philosophy still is today as it was many years ago, Corey. If you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear. Yeah. Where do you see technology in the next 5 years, buddy?
So artificial intelligence is going to be all the rage. There's a great effort into making better models all the time. So that's going to be a huge focus. And we're going to see in some areas a moving backwards, like with cloud. Some smaller companies especially, they committed to this move to the cloud, and they didn't realize that it was actually going to increase their absolute costs, and it kind of overwhelmed their resources. So some companies are actually going to start pulling back from the cloud a little bit. There will still be new adopters, but I think companies will learn to grow more intelligent about how they adopt the cloud. And I think this is a key moment because I think the public wants regulation of big tech companies. But you have to watch out a little bit about who you go after, because Microsoft is actually offering their own services to help beef up security for medium to large businesses.
Mhm.
And if we find them, we're actually hurting the people that are trying to help us. So maybe finding a way to make companies like Meta, like Microsoft, work for us instead
Yeah.
of just a punitive fine, I think would be better.
Speaking about Microsoft, when is the next version of Windows coming out? And do you know if it's going to be any different than the current one?
There's no firm date yet, but we're expecting in 2024 that they're going to put out Windows 12, and they're going to have more artificial intelligence agents built into the operating system. I think that's the big change that we're going to see. But as far as the desktop experience, I don't think it's going to be a huge break with what we have now.
How about software development? Any really super cool software in the on the drawing board or in the near future that you can share with us?
Well, I don't know about new software, but speaking of AI, the software developers are using the AI to help write their code now, and that's one area where these AI bots are actually very, very good. So AI is helping the software developers, but it's also helping the bad guys too, because
Oh
you
yeah.
can actually ask the AI bots where the weaknesses are in the software, and you can actually train it to tell you where the weaknesses are.
Well, I'm sure that the bad guys are doing that, but I'm sure that people like yourself in cybersecurity are also using AI to find the weaknesses so that you can protect your clients and the public.
Yeah, we're trying to. We just have to be very careful not to lock the client out of their own stuff. But
Ooh.
to tell you how overwhelming it is for a smaller business with a limited budget. At my own company, it'll take more than a year before I think we are where we want to be security wise. It takes that long because the attacker only has to find one weakness, but we have to be aware of everything that's going on. And with limited resources, it will take me over a year. So I have less time than the attackers have.
Wow. Well, I haven't heard a lot about viruses lately.
Yeah, the antivirus that's built into Windows has actually been very good, and the browsers themselves are
Mhm.
getting more intense about security. Um, a lot of Macs, they may not spread viruses in the same way that a Windows machine does, but you still use a browser on these Macs, and that's where a lot of the malware was coming from the browser itself. But the browser companies, they've taken a hard line and they've said you must comply with this security requirement or that
Mhm.
security requirement, and they're enforcing it now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are asking questions about the necessity of a VPN. What's your take on that, Corey? Are they an asset? Are they worth the investment?
So a VPN for home use, it can be a good thing. It can provide a level of encryption, so
Mhm.
no one's spying on your traffic. But we've talked about this before. But I feel like I have nothing to hide, so I'm a little cavalier about that. Like I don't have a really strong reason for my traffic to be
Yeah.
encrypted, but VPNs for home use, I think, are a good thing. But in businesses, they're starting to move away from VPNs, and they're starting to move towards something called zero trust security, and it's replacing the traditional VPN.
What's that, Corey?
So zero trust security is based on the premise that you can't trust anything. You have to verify that every person is who they say they are,
I see.
or you even let them get close to whatever resource you're trying to protect. And uh, it we're seeing it in the federal government a lot. They're publishing the standards, but
Mm.
the government's starting to enforce this move towards zero trust security. But the reason it became such a necessity is in the past when you ran a business and you had workers in the office, you could put up a firewall and that was your defense against the outside world. Now that a lot of us are working for home at least some of the time, if not full time,
Hmm.
um, we don't have that office, that perimeter anymore. So a firewall isn't good enough anymore. And it also involves enforcing multi-factor authentication, which drives us all nuts, but
Yes.
so necessary.
Yeah, you type in your username, password. They send you a code to your mobile phone. You enter the code, and sometimes even that requires another password. So yes, it does drive me crazy, Corey. But I understand how necessary it is because that's what you folks do as cybersecurity expert is protect us.
That's right. And it's you almost have to plan now around that, because if, let's say, you got too many telemarketing calls and you wanted to change your phone number.
Hmm.
I actually saw a case where somebody got locked out of their smart house. Their house had a smart lock on it.
Right.
It was
Oh my
tied to
gosh.
their old phone number and their old phone. So they got a new phone number, a new phone, and they didn't plan that transition and tell the smart lock company what the new number was, and they got locked out of their own house.
Oh my gosh. And I guess that would be the same for these smart cars as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Corey, as always, whenever I'm talking to you, my friend, time goes by so fast. What are your final thoughts tonight for the Exo Nation, Corey?
Just be aware. Read up on cybersecurity, even if it seems simple or you've heard it before. Be aware. Don't give out your passwords. Think twice before deciding whether an email asking for your
Whoops, sorry about that, Corey. So be
yeah,
careful. Don't give out your email address and always be proactive, I would imagine.
that's right.
Corey, thank you so much for joining us, my friend. Always a great pleasure talking to you, and I look forward to the next time you and I meet back here in the X Zone. Again, congratulations on everything that is going on in your life, and please say hi to Chance for us.
Oh yeah, thank
Oh,
you.
yeah. Corey K., thank you, my friend. Exo Nation, Corey K. With some great security advice, and we'll be back on the other side of this break after, let's see, the news is coming up next. Yes, it is. We'll be back. Don't go.